All right, let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to bring our guests out one at a time, starting with the person who's played Darth Vader's suit about 70 times, something like that, if I remember, because his wife made him keep count. And of course, you could see him in the original trilogy special editions, as well as games like Rebel Assault 2 and Dark Forces. Let's bring out C. Andrew Nelson. This Darth Vader, yeah, you could pick seats, like yeah. It's a Vader panel, so I'm going to be very well behaved, because I don't want anything to happen to me. This Darth Vader can be seen in Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, Mandalorian, and all the fighting scenes with that. We've got Tom O'Connell. This Darth Vader has been in The Mandalorian and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I've actually known Dmitrious for a little bit and love him to death. Dmitrious Bistrevsky. And of course, Supreme Leader Snoke, seen in The Last Jedi. Also Wookiee and Solo as well. So, you know, we'll tear your arms off if you don't behave. We've got Ross Sambridge. So we'll have to do the whole, share the mic thing a little bit here and there, if that's all right. Okay. I'm very short. Can we all just stand up just for a moment? Yeah. For reference, I am 6 feet tall. That is your reference point, and it's just going up. Yeah. This is a little intimidating, but I'm okay. But if we sit down, I'm still short.
You feel better now?
Fine. Yeah, I feel a little better. I told myself I'm gonna have very good posture for this one, just so you can relax a little bit, hunch all you want. All right, just to get started down the line, how did each of you get into Star Wars, specifically as Darth Vader?
I lost a bet. No. No.
Oh, no.
No. I was already working for Lucas. I was a visual effects supervisor and senior artist at LucasArts for about 6 years, and then later was, after that, a visual effects artist at Industrial Light and Magic, working on the effects for the Star Wars prequels. But I was sitting at my desk at LucasArts and one day in 1994, and my phone rings, and it was head of public relations, who was a woman who was upstairs from me. No pleasantries, no hellos, nothing like that. She just says, "Hey, Andrew, how tall are you?" I said, "I'm 6'5". Why do you ask?" And she was about 5'1". I thought she wanted me to come upstairs and get something down off a shelf for her or something. Then she asked me, "Do you have any acting experience?" I said, "Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where this is going." And I said, "Yeah." At that point, I'd had about, 21, 22 years of theater and film and television. I let her know that. And then she hits me with this. She says, "Can you breathe for me?" Which is an odd request, someone calling you and asking you that for you. But I put the pieces together. I thought, okay, how tall are you? Do you have any acting experience? It's a Lucas company. Can you breathe for me? And I leaned into my phone and I went, I said, "So what's going on?" And they were looking for somebody to play Vader for a charity event for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America, big meet and greet thing. This is long before the 501st Legion was around. And so I went up to Skywalker Ranch, tried on the original costume. It said D. Prowse on the inside for Dave Prowse. Yeah, I had the same reaction you just had on your face right there. Oh my gosh. But I put on the costume. It fit. We did that one event, and I thought, my gosh, that is just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that will never, ever happen again. And I just thank God I had a chance to do it. But then they called me back for something else, and something else, and something else, and I ended up playing Vader 70 times over 12 years. So, yeah. Thank you.
Tom, how about you?
So mine was a bit of an audition process. I was called in by the stunt coordinator, and all they told me at the time was it's a Star Wars project, and I usually do keep a beard as a stuntman, and so they said, I always ask the question, is there anything I should bring in, any equipment, any pads, anything like that? And they said, well, if you have swords, bring your swords in. And I said, oh, I get to be a Jedi, you know? And so I showed up to the audition, and after a couple of weeks, they brought out a stack of NDAs and a kind of one of those Pelican cases, if you've ever seen those. Mm-hmm. And when they opened it, I liken it to the moment in Pulp Fiction where they opened the briefcase. You know, it was glowing, and I saw the Vader helmet, and I was like, nobody said that in the email. So after collecting myself, we went through, and they said, okay, you can fight with a sword, but can you fight with a sword through goggles? And we went through that training, and then a couple weeks later, I think Deborah Chow came in, our director, and got her stamp of approval. And I was actually out of town with my then girlfriend, now wife, on a trip in Zion, so I didn't actually have service.
Wife.
Yeah, my wife. Just got married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We were
Vader can find love.
Yeah, Vader can find love. Yeah, and we were on vacation in Zion National Park and had no signal. And so when I did get service, I got a message from the stunt coordinator that said, "Well, you know, if you want it, the gig is yours." And of course, I was like, "How fast can we get there to sign the papers before they change their mind?" Yes. And the rest is sort of history after that. So it was great.
All right, Dmitrious, your story.
So my story is a little different. I believe in the Force. That's when you applaud.
When Vader says applaud, you applaud.
Yeah. Okay, so I believe in the Force, and I believe that if you will it, it happens. If you're going to put it out there, universe finds a way to bring it to you. So I heard about the role through the grapevine because I had done suit acting before. And I've been kind of known a little bit for being big and being coordinated, and because my training is physical theater and mime and circus, I could do a lot of subtlety and like nonverbal communication. So someone's like, hey, heads up, big project coming out, can't say anything about it, NDA, but you're the perfect bid or build. It's an iconic character, takes place in space, fights with a sword. And I said, okay. Okay, and I was like, I'm going to put it out there. So I contacted some of my stunt friends, and we started just kind of forming a sword club and just kind of practicing sword as a way to put it out there. A month goes by, coordinator contacts me, stunt coordinator. I'm casting for a project, NDA, can't tell you anything about it. We need a specific walk. It's a big iconic character, so you're going to play an iconic character. He's really big. He's kind of like, wears this suit of armor, and he fights the sword, and it takes place in space. It's kind of this sci-fi thing. And I was like, okay, I think I know exactly what you're saying. And he said, okay, it doesn't have to be anything formal. Just film a quick audition like on an iPhone or something, send it to me. We really just want to see this walk. It's a really important thing. It's important for the director to get a specific walk. I said, okay, say no more. I hear you. So then I contacted my friend who does visual effects and said, okay, we got to make this Star Wars audition, and we got to blow it out of the water. They got to know that I want this role. And then I contacted another friend who's got a screen-accurate suit, who's a cosplayer, and he's one of the producers in Legion M. He's an iconic cosplayer, David Baxter, and he's 6'8". And I wore his suit for a short film before, and I said, hey, David, I can't tell you what I'm auditioning for, but can I borrow your suit? So then he lends me his suit, and we film a full Vader in costume with VFX, audition, with dialogue from Rogue One, with the walk, but also reenacting scenes from the original movies. And my friend, the good thing is that my social circle knows Star Wars. I didn't know Star Wars. But my friend Bill, who helped me with audition, who also didn't know what I was auditioning for, had no idea. Bill did not know. None of us did. Was guiding me on how to be the perfect Vader. So we filmed the audition, I put my agent's information, I send it to them, and then I don't hear back. And I was like, oh man, what if it's a different sci-fi project? And I was just like, oh, and how I wasn't supposed to know because no one told me, and I haven't signed anything, and I'm not supposed to know, and I kind of shot my shot, and I missed. I think I kind of kicked the hornet's nest. And 1 week goes by, and you're like giddy, and then the second week goes by, and then the third week, you're like, well, at least I shot my shot. That's the most important thing. You have an opportunity, you go for it, and if you miss, you miss, but at least you went for it. And this is around the holiday time. This is at the tail end of COVID also. And then I get a call from my agent post-holidays, and they said, hey, Dmitrious, I want you to audition for this nondescript Disney project to play a general. They gave me the dialogue, and I'm reading the dialogue. I'm like, I think this is Vader. Like, I have a feeling this is Vader. So I start working on developing the character for Vader, and I start playing the character as if I'd play it for Vader. And then I have one audition. This is on Zoom. I have a second callback. I have a third callback. I have a fourth callback. And the fourth callback already is with production. Now I see the same coordinator now in this big Zoom call that I had met a month prior, like a month and a half prior. And then I see the director and Catterley and Deborah Chow's there, and the casting directors are there, and this is like a 20-person Zoom call. It's probably like 10, I'm exaggerating. But, and for the call, I go and I have a Vader mug that someone had gifted me, so I put it in my Zoom call right here. And then we do the audition, and they like it, and then Deborah's talking to me, and she's like, so Dmitrious, do you know what you're auditioning for? And I said, I have no idea. And that's when they knew I was a liar. And she said, you're auditioning for Darth Vader. And I had the Home Alone moment of, oh my God. But I didn't get the part yet. I got the ability to sign an NDA and be told what the project was. And then they called me for an in-person audition at Lucas, where they got me to try on the Lucas loner Darth Vader costume, which was small on me.
That's because it was made for me.
Yeah, so I put on your costume.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And they wanted to test a specific walk, and that was my most important homework assignment in the very beginning, was you have to get this a specific Vader walk. And I was coming off of a knee injury. I had a chronic knee injury, so I compensated through one of my hips, and I have scar tissue in my hip and in my knee, and I have a slight limp when I walk. It's super, super subtle. It has only ever been detected when I do mocap, and that's because it triggers the mocap. But in anyone else, no one has ever seen it. So I put on the suit. I really want the role. I'm taking the notes from Deborah. We're doing the thing, and she notices that this box, the chest piece, keeps wiggling, and the helmet keeps wiggling a little bit. And she's talking to wardrobe, and she's like, can we strap this down? Can we figure it out? Maybe we do it tighter. And we do a few different iterations, and it's still wiggling. And we're trying to figure out what it is, and they're trying to brainstorm out loud how they would fix it in costuming and everything else. But I know that it's coming from my hip, because there's a limp, and I'm trying to stop my hip from limping, because that's sitting the vibration here is my limp. And this is based on walking, so I can't have a limp, right? So when I do this thing, I'm isolating my hip so it's grinding through the joint, but then I'm not limping. I'm keeping it in place and just letting it grind through the scar tissue because I want the role. And we go through, and then they said, and I realized, and when I realized how attentive Deborah Chow was to the helmet shake and the box, I said, okay, this is someone who values detail. And then in there, I requested for a movement coach, and I had to fight for it, because I hadn't even got the role yet, and I put it in my contract that I needed to have a movement coach. And they're like, well, if you're confident about the role, why would you need a movement coach? And I'm like, it's not that I won't do a good job. I will do a good job in anything that I do. This is Darth Vader. It can't be a good job. It has to be the best possible thing. So I fought for a movement coach, and then I got the role, and Tom and I actually did Vader boot camp together for 3 weeks. And we had one movement coach, and I have to be careful not to break my NDA. But we had one movement coach, and we worked for a little bit, and I had a lot of questions because everything had to be perfect, and I couldn't be a perfectionist. And when I was asking questions, I realized pretty quickly that my movement coach wasn't very familiar with the lore or with Star Wars. So I took the risk because we had just started, and already they were doing me a favor by even giving me a movement coach that I requested in my contract, and I asked to change my movement coach. And it was a huge shock because this was a big movement coach. And I said, no, this isn't the person that's going to steer the ship. I said, if I know more than they do, they're not the person who's steering my ship. And then I requested for a different movement coach, and we brought in Olga Sokolova. And then Tom and I did boot camp with Olga Sokolova together. And then later off, we split off, and he focused on the action and the fighting and the choreography, and I focused on the presence and the storytelling and the subtlety of Vader. But yeah, that was the role. But it was a journey, but it was a lot of these risks of, okay, I shoot my shot with my audition. Okay, I missed it. Okay, I got it. Shoot my shot with, I just got the role, and I'm demanding for a movement coach in my contract. And they're like, this seems like a problem person. You know what I mean? I get that, and then I say, no, I need a new movement coach. Can you imagine from the perspective of production of just like, okay, we got a diva on our hands?
To be fair, Darth Vader's a bit of a diva.
I mean, Darth Vader is a bit of a
be
diva.
fair.
But also, I had the belief that Darth Vader is the one character that can never, ever, ever be destroyed. Darth Vader is the character that has to be, it's either perfect or we don't do it. Or else it's a waste of everyone's time. You know, there's a lot of characters that have kind of slipped through the cracks. Darth Vader is the one that it has to be 100% perfect every time. Yeah, but that's how I got the role.
Ross. Yes. Ross, tell us about becoming Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah, because Ross, you're no Vader.
Hey, that's my line. Yeah, well, all the Vaders were all used up, so like so they went for a higher power, I originally auditioned for Chewbacca for The Force Awakens, and out of 500 very tall actors to audition, I got down to the final 5 with Jonas. And so Jonas was chosen because he had the same eye colouring as Peter and the same sort of build and things, but they kind of kept me on, it kept me in mind for future things that might come up. And then in early 2016, I got a call from my agent saying that there's a thing that they'd like to come down for a fitting for a thing called Space Bear, which was sort of like the working title for...
Can we get Space Bear T-shirts or something?
We need Space Bear t-shirts.
What was the...
No, the Black Bear was the code name for Vader.
Oh, right, Black Bear.
So yeah, I was Black Bear. That was my character name. In case the call sheet got leaked, they wouldn't even write it. It would be BB. Yeah, BB. But BB stunt, and they'd only have your initials in case something got leaked. No one would know anything. Yeah. But Space Bear.
Yeah, Space Bear was for The Last Jedi.
I like Space Bear.
Well, I mean, I know we can't be Vaders, but at least we're bears now.
That's right, we're bears.
That's great. Rawr. Sorry. And this is why he was Darth Vader. Yes. No, so I'm sorry. Please don't destroy me. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let's go.
So I came down for the fitting, and I still didn't know if it was actually for Star Wars. It does obviously sound like a bit like Star Wars. So went down there, and they said, okay, so we'll go straight to wardrobe, and we'll give you this gold sort of like robe to wear, sort of thing, and then you can just go on the stage, and then the director will be in to speak to you. I said, well, okay, so I'll just put this robe on, and then they said, oh, just do a measurement for you as well, and there was a big door, and it had all the measurements for all the other actors and stuff, and there was Boris Whitaker's measurement for Rogue One, and I was like, okay, this is more and more like Star Wars. Again, it could be anything. But then so I got on stage, and there was Natalie Coles, who played the blue medical droid in Force Awakens, and she was actually one of Snoke's purple like mysterious guards sort of thing in the throne room. So I got on stage, and then Ryan Jones walks in and says, "Oh, you must be our Snoke." So that's how I knew that I was going to be. so I was like, "Oh, lovely." And then I was like, "Brilliant." Okay, I looked up at Ryan Johnson. Oh, no, Looper, lovely. And it was there. And then 2 weeks later, I was on this set, and the set is absolutely humongous. I mean, I'm very tall, but I felt quite small on that set. And so there I am, just sitting there and just going, "This is Star Wars. This is awesome. Please don't mess it up." And then sort of like Daisy Ridley's just stands there, and she literally bounds up towards me and jumps on my lap when I'm sitting on the throne and says hello. So I was like, "Oh, hi." And she was like, "Hi, I'm Daisy. Nice to meet you." And I'm going, "Oh, hi, lovely to meet you." And then we just start doing the scene, and then Andy walks on and with his mocap suit and says, "It's lovely to actually share the role with you and everything else." I'm going, "Well, this is quite nice, This is, and I just got to live in the moment, sort of thing. So that's kind of how I got into the role of Snoke, really, and became supremely good. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Yes. By the way, this is Ross's first North American signing, so we got Ross out here. So thanks for coming all this way.
Cheers. Thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed my very first one. Hopefully, one to many to come. And literally everybody, the people of Dallas, has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much indeed for making literally the distance between England and America, across the pond, so much smaller, and so thank you very much indeed.
All right. So this first question is for the Vaders. We all, as kids growing up, like with Star Wars, imagine ourselves as certain characters, but you are actually Vader. What was it like to first officially put on the whole Vader costume, like the outfit, the mask? What was that feeling? What was it like for you?
It was a little disorienting at first, and it's an interesting process. For my costume, it was about 17 pieces. If you include the lightsaber hanging on the belt, it's about 17 pieces. But you put it on very, very slowly because you want to make sure everything looks right, everything's in the right place. The chest box has to be at the right height. It drives me crazy when I see footage from on YouTube of you goes to Walt Disney World or Disneyland. And you see the Vader that's there, and they've got the chest box down here. It's not a gut box; it's a chest box. It's supposed to be at a certain spot. Everything has to be in the right spot. No fingerprints on the helmet or anything like that. So it takes about 45 minutes to get into the costume, and as you're getting into the costume, you're putting it on, and it's layering on, and it's heavy, and it's getting heavier, and it's not comfortable. You guys know it's not comfortable at all. I have physical scars from wearing the costume. I won't show them to you. But let's just say the word.
What rating is this panel?
Let's just say the word
PG.
chafing. Okay, but you get the costume on. And then I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror that they had there. And I don't go, hey, there I am in the Vader costume. No, there's Darth Vader. And all of a sudden, everything changes at that moment. I mean, I was taking it seriously. I was fanboying out, but I was taking it seriously, just like these gentlemen as well. But then everything changes. Your whole physical attitude, your whole emotional attitude, everything changes at that moment, and you become Vader. And but it was a little disorienting too, because the lenses of the mask distorted, my vision. And vain actor that I am, I wear glasses. I just don't have them on at the moment, and I can't wear them under the mask. So that made it a little bit difficult. But it's just an incredible experience, and it's one that like I said, it happened 70 times, and each time it was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I never got used to it. Not one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I got this down or something like that. It was always something that I approached with great respect and with great humility as well, but also great responsibility. So
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's those last words you said is definitely the feeling after the initial shock of seeing, like, oh my God, I'm about to put this on. I'll let Dmitrious speak more to the process that we went through together, because we have a very shared experience, which is really nice to have somebody to share that with. But that mixture of gratitude and humility and responsibility, it's one of those things where, yes, we recognize the care that Deborah was putting into it, the care that everyone was putting into it. I said something that's sort of unique to all of us here anyway, and I'm sure Andrew experienced this as well, is like, we all grew up with Star Wars. Even if you didn't know it, you knew it. You know who Darth Vader is. Even if you've never watched the films, you know who Darth Vader is. So stepping into that, you feel the weight of that in a way, and it's mixed with gratitude. So it's not overwhelming, but there is a certain amount of responsibility, not just to the fans, but to yourself and to David Prowse and Bob Anderson and George Lucas ultimately, and Hayden and everyone that stepped into that role and the continuation of the lineage that we have for that role. You just feel that, and when you see yourself in the mirror, when a picture is taken of you, or even if you don't have the helmet on, you think you got a job to do, and you damn, sorry for the language, you damn sure better do it right, because it means a lot to me personally, and I know it means a lot to you and you and you and everyone, and so you better do it well, and you better do your absolute best.
So may I just ask? So when you, so each of you really, when you are donning the Darth Vader, even though you're your own like kind of individuality inside the suits, even though in a guess you got like carry on the actual the character of Darth Vader, but do you add your own sort of like take on what Darth Vader could be?
Yes, I did. But
Yeah. I want to pass it to Dmitrious. So so we can hear more about that. But something that's great that he mentioned, we do really owe a lot of credit to Deborah, and I think it's great that you brought in Olga. Olga was a movement coach that, the way I talk about it is she basically stripped down the movement patterns that we individually had between myself, Hayden, and Dmitrious, and then started to build us back up in the image, if you want to say it that way, of David Prowse and the performance that the older guys had laid down. And so we all looked sort of congruous. There was a continuity to the character. And there's a fantastic moment that Dmitrious did in no spoiler alerts here, in episode 3 when he drags Obi-Wan through the fire. One of my very good friends who I've known for over 10 years said, once the show came out, that was you, right? And I was like, no, that was Dmitrious. I was standing on the sidelines for that one. And I took that as a real moment of appreciation for that detail that they put into the character, the fact that sometimes I watch it and I know, certainly there were times when I know, well, I definitely did that because I was there and I remember doing that. But there are times when I sort of lose myself back watching it and saying like, and it's such an awesome thing to say, that you can't tell where one of us ends and the other begins. Yeah. That's a real credit to Deborah and Olga and the work that they put into the character. And I'll just pass it on from there.
Yeah, the amount of detail, okay, wait, applause.
Yeah.
Basically, when we got the role, when we're doing Kenobi, there was this electricity on set that we knew we were making history. Like, we were making Star Wars history. We were building the bridge from the originals to the prequels to the originals. We were telling the missing part of the story. And that electricity on set had this gravity that what we're doing right now is the most important thing I could do in the universe. Literally, that was the energy that we were telling the biggest story that needs to be told. We're bridging parts of the story that need to be told. So that was the energy behind everything. Yeah. I forgot what the original question was.
Well, it started off like putting on the Vader suit, and then it evolved. Yeah. No, but this is great. I'm loving where this is going. Yeah. Go with the emotions.
Yeah. So
it's the dark side.
Yes. When people ask this question, they want this beautiful experience. But for me, like Tom said, it was the responsibility, and I had done so much movement training that I wasn't thinking about that. For me, it was, how does my posture move in this? How does this? And I'm analyzing everything. And because I'm so hypercritical, I wasn't even self-aware of that aspect. I had a couple of these moments that I had these out-of-body experiences where I would be like, oh yeah, I'm Darth Vader. But in the middle of it, I'm doing a job, I'm playing a role, this is my posture, this is what I do, this is how I move. And that's kind of what was running through my head. And how can I move with the limitations that I had? But I had this one. My first one was we're doing a camera lighting test, and I was with Ewan's stand-in. I believe his name is Warren. Yeah. And we're doing this thing where we're just kind of crossing blades and seeing how the lights reflect off the suit when they're going to do kind of plan lighting for the future. And Warren whispered to me, he's like, I'm fighting Darth Vader. And then I had this moment where I'm like, oh my God, that's me. You know what I mean? And that was my first moment. And my second one was on the Devastator, where when it was on the throne scenes, but also on the Devastator, where I was like, oh my God, I'm on the Devastator. Oh my God, I'm Darth Vader. Because you see the bridge and you see the people on the computers, and the Devastator was just one of those moments where I'm having out-of-body experience. But then also when Tom was doing the fighting, there was this interesting part because there was this intensity that was building closer to the final fight, and everyone felt it. And even though I wasn't fighting, I was training 5 hours a day as if I was fighting. And they were training 5 hours a day, and Ewan was training, and Hayden was training, and everyone is training, but we had this collective energy that there's a showdown that's about to happen, and it's big. Right? And this pressure was building through the filming, and the closer we got to the end, the more this tension was building. And when I was watching Tom fight, I was having this out-of-body experience where I could almost feel his movements in my body watching it because we were so connected. Yeah.
I just want to add to that I share that. We would often watch the monitor when Dmitrious was in there, I was watching the monitor. When I was in there, I'm sure you were doing the same. And again, that was part of the responsibility of like, okay, Dmitrious did this with his hand, and so I know where that volume knob is on what that force choke looks like, or what that force push looks like, and I think we all sort of shared that because we knew we had to make it that way, right? That was part of the responsibility of the character. So, yeah, it was just fun. At the end of the day, it was really just fun. I share that same sentiment that I had those out-of-body experiences where I would sit back and have to remind myself, because you're so focused on the fight or the movement or the choreography, whatever it is, there were moments where I would have to stop and sort of pinch myself and say, like, okay, remember to look around and take mental pictures at least so you can remember this and tell people about this, because during it, there's nothing, you were so singularly focused on doing a good job that there wasn't a lot of time to ruminate in the feeling.
There's this thing unrelated to this, but when I moved to New York, one of my good friends told me, when you're walking around New York, don't forget to look up. Because the skyline is amazing and to see all these buildings, but you're so busy running through the city and through the grid that you forget to look up, right? And that's what you just said, just kind of reminded me of that. It's like, don't forget, like, kind of like stop and smell the roses, but really it's like in that moment to appreciate what was happening. There wasn't a lot of that in my end. There was a lot, because I'm very hypercritical with myself and my own performances and how I move. So everything was analytical. I only gave myself the liberty a couple times to like enjoy that process. That came later watching and appreciating it. Yeah.
By the way, with Dmitrious, if you don't follow him on like Instagram and stuff like that, like you'd see him doing all this circus stuff and spitting and flowing constantly. I'm looking at those videos. I'm like, there's no way I could ever have that kind of balance.
I'm a crazy person.
First of all, we're all crazy because we signed up for this career.
Completely not.
But the stuff he does is really incredible. Like the way that you move, there is something that I think is singular to you as a person, and I really do applaud you for that. Like that's a talent that I've never seen before in my life. So, applause to you for that.
Thank you so much. I wish I could say that I was special.
That's for us to say. That's for us to say.
No. But what I am is I'm stubborn. That's it. It really is. I'm audacious and I'm stubborn. That's my strength. And when I was a kid, and I was tall and lanky, and I was going through middle school. Middle school, I got pulled out of sports because I was growing too fast, and my body couldn't keep up. But when I got to high school, the coaches wanted me to play football, and they wanted me to play basketball. And I have something ingrained in me that when someone tells me I should do something, I say no. And when someone says I can't do it, I say yes. And it's such a primal part of me that I listen to way too often.
Kind of sounds like Anakin, not gonna lie.
And so when I was going through school, they wanted me to play football and basketball, and I saw all the kids, it was all the international kids who would break dance in the basketball court during basketball practice, and I said, I want to do that. So while the coaches asked me to do it, and they knew that I was available, I was there, the whole basketball team is practicing, and I'm in the corner trying to break dance, and I'm not even good. That's the thing, is I'm not even good, and I would be really good at basketball, but I want to do this because for some reason I know that it irritates my coaches, and that's the drive because I think it's hilarious. And that's kind of, so that doesn't make me special, it makes me a little crazy, but that's kind of what has pushed me to always push my boundaries and trying to see what I could do.
I think that's what I like about you. That whole I picked up on that when I first met you, and that's what I like about you.
Thank you.
You are special.
Applause. That's where,
It feels cool, right?
Wait. Applause. Yeah. All right, Ross. Let me ask you this. So Supreme Leader Snoke, The Last Jedi, is the first time we see Supreme Leader Snoke's movement.
Yeah.
Tell us how that movement came about.
Well, similarly to what you were saying, like it's all about how you change your body shape to sort of like to manipulate and how you could be more creepy sort of thing. So, well, it comes quite easy with me being creepy. But no, so in Force Awakens, Snoke's a hologram. So they didn't know how he was going to interact with like Daisy and with Adam and things. So. They wanted someone taller than Adam Driver and then Adam I believe is about 6'4", and I'm 7'1", so they wanted someone to loom right over him and sort of like make him feel quite small and insignificant and things. So but in a way, the actual robes become a character themselves, because it's all like dark reds and blacks in the throne room, and the gold being sort of like quite a royalty sort of like look to it sort of thing. So so they wanted sort of like Ryan gave Andy and I. So apologies for my voice. I had a couple of a sore throat. It's the dry weather. So that's my excuse anyway. So the thank you very much.
I came prepared. You want a cough drop?
Well,
Yeah.
You see, Darth is nice. Anyway,
Sometimes.
thank you. It's a bit on the. Well, I mean, they're probably a little bit on the dark side, but you know. So Ryan gave Andy and I a free reign of how he was going to move and things. So Andy would match up with my movements, and I would match up with his movements, and then sort of like they kind of blend us together, sort of thing. But yeah, no, because I've also got a slight curvature of the spine. Ryan liked that idea because he could come across a bit more sort of like menacing, but subtly scary, but then have his powerful moments, but still quite fragile at the same time. So, you know, I mean, I guess I'll probably just stand up and show you all sort of thing. So, in a way, if Carlo, I mean, can I borrow you for a second?
Yes.
Right. Firstly, kneel before Snoke. Thank you very much. Right. So I would be sort of like I'll be like in the chair sort of thing like this, sort of like my withered arm on that side sort of thing.
I love that.
So I'll be sort of like going like so I'd have to like really like emphasise on the getting up sort of thing, but like really sort of creepy sort of thing. And then I'd be walking down the slope sort of like, but still quite powerful sort of thing. But then I'd be like, how's the wound? Do you know the line?
Oh God!
Read the script.
Oh my God!
Line.
Line. What is the line?
It's muffled.
It's nothing. It's nothing.
And I'll be like, take that ridiculous thing off, which is the helmet.
Yeah.
You know, sort of thing. And I've never done this before, by the way, so this is exclusive.
Yeah.
So
Nice direction.
And I'll say, and then it's all, because so after he sort of takes the head off and that sort of thing, it's this and all that stuff about like the fact you were just Scott being up by a girl and you're a pansy and that sort of stuff. So and then sort of like
Thanks.
So
All right, that's better.
it's all right, no worries. Anyway, and then so like as it turns sort of thing, but and so it emphasises sort of like the creep sort of turn and everything else, and then sort of like I was like kind of like limping and withered back, and then he sort of like he says I defeated Han Solo and everything else. So he's like
I killed Han Solo.
yeah, and then he got zaps like that sort of thing. Yeah. But so he's just got to like get into that sort of like a humanized sort of thing, but like they're just emphasising on the withered part, but also sort of the strength coming through and sort of like then wheezing out and then sort of like coming back and sort of just leaning backwards and then sort of like falling almost into his chair like that, and sort of being all menacing, but still kind of like fragile and everything else.
The way you're giving me that look right now, I'm kind of like,
Thank you very much.
I want to add something really quickly. The lean that you did on the chair, there's something so uncanny about it that it always was striking for me, because there's something as a movement performance, just the way you did it. I don't know. There's something very subtle about it that is extremely creepy and extremely dark, and I loved it. And there was it was really just how you were leaning.
Yeah.
But it was I don't know what it is specifically about it. Like I can't pinpoint, but there's something so uncanny about it that I absolutely love it.
I'll try it. I mean, it's sort of like, because this chair's a bit on the smaller side to the throne, of course, but it's sort of like it's like that sort of thing, and sort of like because.
Okay, I know it's the nonchalance. That's what it is. It's how casual it is in a position that would normally be awkward. I think that's what it is. But it's this uncanny thing that you look at it and it should be uncomfortable, but you're super, super comfortable.
You have to like be subtly sort of like, in a way it's a bit like what's his name from the Addams Family. Lurch, anyway,
Yeah,
like Lurch.
yeah.
So like he's sort of like he does his very subtle, small movements, but every movement is sort of like a menacing sort of like story to his body shape and his body movement. So you kind of like you tap into what his emotional feeling is by sort of like it's almost like speaking in a like horrible way, but just using your movements to actually speak. So it's a bit like what you were saying about the fact that you have that responsibility to make your character believable and it's got to be really angry and menacing, that sort of stuff. But also you can't sort of like sort of deviate from his body. You've got to be encapsulated into that character, and you've got to like really sort of like deliver that character to the audience they're going to be watching in the cinema. I think. So so I was just very grateful to have Andy's like motion capture movement sort of like and to have like a teaching from him. So it's just fantastic that we are literally quite half and half of Snoke.
Yeah.
Applause. I'm going to use that now. So I got questions for each of you. Can we get a mic down here? C. Andrew Nelson. By the way, can I just say, it's hard not to say C. Andrew Nelson.
I know, I'm the third choice on a multiple choice quiz.
What do you prefer if you're just...
Lord Vader.
Lord Vader?
No,
All right.
no, Andrew. Just
Andrew,
call me
okay.
Andrew, yes.
So you were in the original trilogy special edition, so now you live on in the original trilogy forever.
Because that was the deal that George made when he sold Lucasfilm to Disney. That the special edition is the edition. So yeah.
Applause. No, but you almost didn't survive it.
No, I almost didn't make it into the special edition. I'd been playing Vader for about 2 years before the special edition, so I'd been doing it for commercials and television appearances and all that sort of thing. But then. And I'd done it for the video games for Rebel Assault 2 and Dark Forces, and I think it came about for the special edition because Hal Barwood had been the director of the live-action footage for the game Rebel Assault 2, and Hal had been a game designer at LucasArts, but Hal went to USC Film School with George. He's one of his old film school friends, and Hal co-wrote Dragon Slayer and a lot of other films as well. And so, good friends of George. And as Hal was directing all the live-action footage for the game Rebel Assault 2, he was looking at some of the moves that I did, and of course I studied everything that Prowse had done, everything that Bob Anderson had done prior to that, and I heard Hal say, "Oh, that's good." There was a move that I had to do where I had to turn the swish of the cape and all the body, and Vader had to leave after he'd just, took care of one of his admirals that had disappointed him, and so
apology accepted.
Yes, it's very much like that, and so. Hal looked at the shot and he goes, "Oh, George needs to see this," and I didn't even think anything of it. I think he was just making a comment. But after that is when I got the call for the special edition, and like I said, I almost didn't get to do it because the date that they had chosen, or the week that they had chosen to shoot, was the week that my first child was due to be born. And I'm not going to miss that. So at the time, Don Bees from the ILM Model Shop, who was also the archivist at the ranch, and he was organizing all of the shoot for the special edition, which was done at ILM on the sound stages there, the blue screen stages. And so Don calls me up and says, "Yeah, I got great news for you. They want you in the special edition for the new scenes for Vader." And I said, "Oh, great." And I said, when are they shooting? And he gave me the date, and it's like, we have a baby on the way, and she's due then. And he says, but he kept it open. But he'd call me up at like every few days. So, baby born yet? And I said, no, not yet. Mercifully, thank God, my daughter was born 2 weeks early. And that's how I was able to do it. So,
It's the
almost
Force.
exactly. That is exactly it. That is the Force. But almost didn't get to.
One more for you. You almost, again, while filming the special edition, You know the story I'm talking about, right? Like
Yeah.
almost walking. Yeah.
You know, as you guys probably know as well, it's an incredible experience to play Vader. It can also be a little dangerous, and you can get hurt. Yes, you know that one. So, yeah, you can get hurt. One of the scenes that we shot for the special edition is where Vader leaves Cloud City and goes back to his shuttle, and there's this wonderful, beautiful long shot, and it's a beautiful matte painting done by Ralph McQuarrie that I get to walk across. But what I actually walked across was a platform, a very long platform, about maybe 7 or 8 feet off the ground on a blue screen stage. So it's myself and 2 stormtroopers and Imperial officer, and we had to walk the length of this thing. The visibility in the Vader mask isn't good. You can basically see what's directly in front of you through the lenses of the mask, or if you tilt your eyes down, at least in my version of the mask, you can kind of see your feet, but that's about it. But you can't walk and look like Vader and go,
Yeah.
so you have to practice it. So we practiced it several times, with buckets off, as we say, with the heads off, and I couldn't go too far left or too far. It was not a very wide platform either, so I couldn't go too far left or too far right, or I'd fall off, and I couldn't go all the way to the end, or I definitely would fall off. And so we rehearsed it several times, and you have to get this sort of muscle memory going there so that you know how many steps you can take. And Vader has a nice long stride there. So we started shooting. We started shooting it. We're doing it. We're doing it. We get down to the last take, and they go, "Cut! Don't move." And I got about that far from the end of the platform. I wasn't really counting. I was because as
I have a story to tell you after
As Dmitrious says, you get into the character, and I'm focused at that moment. I'm Vader. I'm thinking I'm leaving Cloud City. I'm going to my shuttle. I'm thinking about the next scene because I know what the next scene is because we have all seen the film already, but we're adding a new scene in between there, and I'm focused on that. And I didn't realize I'd gotten that far. So one more step, and I would have hit the deck. I don't know if they were concerned about me or the very expensive original costume.
The suit.
I would like to think it was me, but yeah, it was dangerous. I mean, I've had stories like that. I almost caught on fire one time, and that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I have. So I have.
Yeah,
the
so that's why I'm handing it over him now
thank
too.
you.
But
Dimitrious, what you got for us?
Perfect lead-in. Okay, so the way we trained with Olga is that I'm Anakin turned Darth Vader, young Darth Vader, young, arrogant, pompous Darth Vader who has a chip on his shoulder and something to prove, right? And what we're trying to prove is that I've become a master. And how do you tell people you become a master? And this is the part was developing this arrogance and the walk and everything else. And like he was saying, Vader doesn't look at the floor. Yeah. In my training, Vader doesn't even glance down. Mm-hmm. Vader is up here, and I look straight ahead.
Exactly.
The way the suit is built, I have no peripheral vision. And with the way Olga, we have very little vision, actually. In fact, if I'm doing a scene with someone, I don't even see the person. Like, anything below my nose is invisible. But my head is so high that everything is invisible. I only see really, really far away. And even when I have a mark, I could see a mark about 30 feet ahead, maybe 20 feet ahead, and then it disappears, and then I count steps from when I can't see anymore till I get to my mark. And then I just rely on counting the steps. And when Olga and I were training, we did a lot of training blindfolded. And we would build little obstacle courses, and I would blindfold in the thing, and I'd have to count steps to a certain place, turn around it, come around, try to pick up an object, come back. And we're doing a lot of this blindfold training, and it came in handy so much in the suit. But you have this trust that if something goes wrong, someone's going to say something. Yeah. So I'll start with the fire first. When we're doing the fire scene, I miscounted my steps. I see my mark, can't see my mark anymore. I start doing my steps, but it's not just counting your steps, it's counting your steps, and the gate has to be the same. Right. If you change it a little bit, you're going to be off count. Mm-hmm. So I walk into the fire, and I stop inside the fire, but I don't know this because I'm looking that way. And I'm like, it feels warmer than usual. But I'm wearing
this
like
isn't
leather.
CG fire, folks.
Yeah. No, this is real fire, yeah. But I'm wearing like leather, so I'm like, someone's gonna say something. Someone's definitely gonna say something. We're doing the scene, and we're in that scene for like another 30 seconds or like 45 seconds. And we're doing it, and it's getting warmer and warmer, and I'm like, okay, just keep going. And then they yell, cut, and immediately I get yanked out by the stunt coordinator. Everyone is frantic. They're looking at my costume. Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And then they all come in, okay, Dmitrious. I know you're in the character. Darth Vader is afraid of fire. Like, he has this trauma. He doesn't like fire. He's not gonna just like stand in the fire. I was like, I was in the fire? No one said cut? But I destroyed my hero cape because I was in the fire. We had this hero cape, and I had to use the stunt cape afterwards until I made a new one because I destroyed my hero cape because I walked in the fire. And then we had to cover my costume with flame retardant, and then everyone had to watch Dmitrious because he'll walk into fires. But then we had another scene when we're in the volume, and we're on the planet. I forgot the name. Do you know the name of the planet? The final showdown between.
It was the moon. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, I forget.
Yeah, so it's on the moon, and we land, and there's that big tracking shot of Vader comes down the ship, and he walks into the void, into the spans of the distance. We're in the volume, and I could only see far away, and I'm looking at the screen, and it goes on forever because it's a far away shot. And I'm walking, and I'm like, they're gonna say cut when I reach the edge. There was no they. There was no they. No one said cut. And I walked off the edge of the volume. And it happened to be on the high side of the volume, so it's like a 5-foot drop. It's like a 4.5, 5-foot drop. But I'm also an acrobat. So I didn't even know that I'd walked off the edge. I walked off, I was walking, and then I was like, boop. And I landed on my feet, and I was like, and then people run up, and they're like, are you okay? And they're like, and then one person, like, after everyone's like calmed down, someone came up to me and was like, I was watching the monitor, and you were walking, and then you just vanished. But yeah, I walked off the edge, but my circus training, like muscle memory, I found the floor with my feet, and I automatically absorbed.
Thank God for that. Wow.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where, like, if it was someone else who wasn't an acrobat, that could, because you're very limited in the costume.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't see.
Yeah. You also can't turn your head, at least for me, you can't turn your head all the way around like this.
No.
Because it catches, that mask catches on the shoulder armor. And so that's why Vader, when he turns, he uses his whole body to turn. Yeah, but
I just got to tell you really quickly, I think we ruined your costume. That replica that Lucasfilm let us borrow.
it's okay. We had 18 of them.
In the stunt gym.
I ruined a few.
Typically with stunts you do previs. Previs is like the demo reel for the director to approve the fight sequences and the choreography. And again, knowing the responsibility that we had to the material and the characters, we shot with lights, we shot with fog machines, we went all the way out. We turned off the lights, as you well know, like we would turn out the lights in the stunt gym, and we would go all out for these previs scenes. And that final fight, the previs that we shot was 6.5 minutes, but we trashed that outfit. We were, because Vader gets pretty beat up.
It was for a good
beat up
cause.
in that one. Yeah. But the shin guards were broken, and we kind of gave it back to them. It was like, you remember in Days of Thunder when they turned the cars back in, the rental cars? Tom Cruise and the other guy, Michael Rooker. And it was kind of like that. We turned it back, and we was sheepishly like, here you go.
Sorry.
And they were like, what is this? And we were like, well, sorry.
Tom, one last one for you. So of course, the two of you both worked with like Ewan and Hayden, stuff like that, and of course you were also in Ahsoka. But for Kenobi, you got to fight Ewan. Yeah. But what was that like? Like, because ever since Revenge of the Sith, this is like the matchup.
Those guys are so talented. I mean, you observed them fighting. Like, they're extremely athletic. They're very knowledgeable. Obviously, they have years of more training than we all had at lightsaber choreography anyway, with Nick Gillard being the coordinator over there. And so they were very talented just from the get-go. And I like to say, you know, it was almost not in a sort of arrogance or any sort of boisterous point of view, but we were always trying to one-up each other with like how well and how fast we could do the choreography. And those guys are A+ students, you know, they picked it up like that. So it was like it was almost like everyone knew the importance of the material and the fight that we were doing. I mean, I think Kathleen Kennedy came out ahead of time and said it was going to be the rematch of the century. So we were like, great, that's no pressure. Don't mess it up, you know? And so it really was a testament to how athletic and how gifted they are at that. For me, the first time, you know, when we train, it's typical that I fought Ewan stunt double, and Ewan would fight somebody else that knew the Vader choreography, and then we would face off with each other eventually once we all knew the moves. And in the first instance where I faced off with Ewan, it was a moment, again, one of those moments of shock and a moment of like, I suddenly came back into reality of I know where I am, because when he did his stance with the saber over the head, his Obi-Wan stance, I literally looked into his eyes, and let's face it, Ewan's a very handsome man, first of all, but you're looking into those, applause. I was looking into those icy blue eyes, and I was like, oh my God, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I completely forgot the choreography. It was like I blew everything out of my mind. And I was like, can we take that back a sec? But to echo what these guys were saying, it was very hard, doing the choreography. I kind of give our department the tiniest bit of shade, because we had worked out all the choreography for that final fight on flat, level ground. And as you well know, that Rocky Moon had several different steps and layers and columns, and nobody seemed to tell us that ahead of time. So I went into the steps counting mode of like, I have to know exactly where the next step is behind me, because I was fighting on the back foot a lot of that fight, and to know where that next ledge was. So I literally didn't fall down, and I think I did once or twice. Yeah.
I want to actually add on that. So Ewan, in his choreography, he had like this moment where he was either ragdolled or he had to roll. He had to roll on rocks. And he wasn't wearing pads, and he had to do it over and over and over again, and he never said anything. That's the thing. And that's one of those things, where like you practice in a place, but you try to imagine all the other conditions that could take place. What if there's fog? Like, we train blindfolded. What if we can't see? What if we can't hear? Like, you're putting these what ifs as you're training to try to give yourself as many tools as possible. But rocks was a curveball, and the Vader suit is extremely hard to move backwards in. Because there's a cape, and you learn cape choreography as you're walking. Like when you turn, you kind of take this leading hand and you flick the cape behind
Absolutely,
you
yes.
to give you space. Because if you don't do this, you step on the cape and you do one of these. And his fight was all backwards. Yeah. And I did a lot of training walking backwards and forwards and sideways and everything. And I'm the only other person in the world who knows how hard his fight scenes were, because I'm the only other person who knows our specific suit, and the limitations of our suit, and the length of our capes, and everything else. And there's a moment, I think I even told you while we were filming, I was like, I think no one else here even understands how hard it is what you're doing. Like how hard it is what you're doing. It's like almost impossible. It's literally almost impossible. And one time you did fall. Yeah. You like stepped on your cape and you fell backwards. Because you step on the cape and then it chokes you.
Because it's chained to the front of the shoulder armor, and so
so let's give a round of applause for Tom.
A round of applause for that one.
All right. I hate to do this, but we're actually
literally
at that
he
time.
took something that was impossible, and I mean, but this is Vader. I'll tell you about Vader. What makes Vader beautiful? There's a lot of people who talk about Vader, and they start talking down about Vader on the internet, right? Because he was one of the first villains that came out, and then since then the power levels have changed. You had Thanos later come out and other things, and other IPs where it was more powerful, and they said, who's more powerful, Superman or Vader? Homelander or Vader? And you start comparing, and then slowly over the years, the power levels are lower, and they're like, well, Vader was strong, but he's not that strong because Palpatine modified his suit, and you have all these things in the fandom, right? Here's the thing. Vader is the most powerful in the universe, right? Vader knows that his suit is nerfed. Vader is smart enough to reassemble a ship and put it back together just using the Force. He's a genius. Yeah. And every time he fixes his suit, he keeps the nerf there. That's Vader. Yeah. Vader is so good that you say, okay, you put this restriction on me, and I'm walking into a trap, and without an army? Okay.
And he's the strongest because he's the only one who comes back from the dark side.
Yeah.
The chosen one.
And Revan.
And Revan.
Yeah. The comeback
someone
and brought
blazed
balance.
the trail first.
And brought balance.
Yeah, but where this is going is what makes Vader, he's the most powerful, not because he's the strongest. He's the most powerful because he's the most resilient. And he's the most powerful because he has gotten rid of all his attachments. He's the ultimate Jedi. Yeah. He's the ultimate Jedi because the Jedis have an attachment, and their attachment is they can't kill the younglings. Killing the younglings
You went there.
is an attachment. Killing the younglings is an attachment, right? And Vader transcended that attachment. And Vader, because he has nothing to live for, he has no self-preservation. So
Not
when
letting you babysit the kids.
Speaking.
So basically, he walks into battle knowing that it's rigged, knowing that it's a trap, knowing that his suit is nerfed, and he still wins. That's Darth Vader. So with that being said, Tom is in the suit. He's in a cape. He has to step backwards. He is on rocks. He's completely blind. His lenses have fogged up, and he still makes it look like it's easy. Because that's what it's supposed to be. That was the analogy I was connecting with.
All right.
Applause.
So speaking of younglings, I've got a giveaway, and little Leia up here has just been so patient the entire time. Well done. I think you deserve this.
Give it to the
So
daughter.
this is for you. This is from all the Vaders up here. So first of all, let's give it up for Snoke and the Vaders.
Can I just?
Just for a moment.
We're in a singing group now.
We're
Snoke
singing.
and the Vaders.
Do do do. Oh no, okay.
Can I just say just one thing? It's great for me because I got to share this panel with my fellow clones.
Yes.
True.
Can we actually do a picture real quick, just a group photo, if you don't mind? All right, Vader.